like now I've done several vids on Boer independence, and if you've seen my other vids, Europe, China, and Boer independence in Africa, you'll understand the greater implications of Boer independence for Africa. Um, One of the fundamental benefits of Boer independence to Africa in general would be the greater standing of the Afrikaner people of the Cape, who are of Dutch descent, in South Africa itself. Um, so those ideas of the Enlightenment, which are part of the Afrikaner culture, will gradually seep in to the rest of the country. The problem with apartheid and the problem with the ANC is that even though the ANC were trained to a large extent by communists, but they were also armed by the Tory government of Great Britain, that is Margaret Thatcher. The person who went about saying that Britain would be swamped, okay, for immigration, was also sending arms to communist rebels of the ANC, who were not pacifists. Mandela was not like Gandhi. All right, I do respect Mandela quite a lot for some of the things that he did after the struggle against apartheid was over, because he told the Bantu in South Africa not to go on a rampage and kill Boers and Afrikaners. But evidently, Jacob Zuma and the leader of the ANC Youth League has not heard that over the lot since 1994, and 52,000 Cape Coast Afrikaners and 3,000 Boer families have been murdered. That's why I started making these vids. But a Boer independent republic based on the European social market and also the US Constitution would be excellent for Africa, because the Boers could start farming again and make a surplus which could be exported to Africa, which is in dire need of food. Okay, strictly as food for fuel in the stomachs of people, rather than as in the West we see food as something of pleasure, recreation, but of course it is fuel as well. Now, the reason why the Boer War started was because Cecil Rhodes bullied Alfred Biet, a Jewish entrepreneur, okay, into getting the whole of the British establishment at that time, which was mostly Norman and Jewish, to attack the Boers, because the Boers were sitting on top of gold and diamonds. Now, the Boers, of course, had relationships with Jewish businessmen, and they were very equitable. Okay, both the Jewish businessmen and the Boers were making money. Okay, but this then brings me back to the Jewish link with Africa is not just with South Africa. The Jewish link to Africa goes right back to the beginnings of the history of the Jewish people. If you look at the kingdoms of Axiom and of Kush, which are from small part of Sudan to mostly being in Ethiopia down to the coast, which of course is now Somalia. That would be the place if Jewish people were of social democratic, that would be left of centre, humanist Jewish people could start a state there. That would help a lot, because it would relieve population pressure from Israel. It would thus enable the international community to put pressure on the Israeli right wing, who won't let left wing Jewish people emigrate there, and thus there could be a peaceful two-state solution. Now, a lot of American Jewish people who are left of centre are Democrats by nature, and there is also people in the British Labour Party who are humanists, Jewish people who don't feel represented by the chauvinistic, militaristic form of Zionism in Israel, represented by the Likud party. Now, I think I'm being fair there. So, if there could be a Jewish state in the Horn of Africa, it would solve several problems. Firstly, one of the biggest groups investing in Africa is the Bin Laden family and their private army AlQueada, who of course have stated as their mission to remove primarily Western and Europeans from Saudi Arabia, but their secondary goal is to destroy the state of Israel, many people say. Fundamentally, the Bin Ladens are interested in sustaining the system of feudalism, which is about now. Now, how can it be right that the Israeli left is subjected to a similar kind of feudalism where certain families within the Likud party have a grasp and hold on Israeli foreign policy, and this never seems to change? Different parties keep coming in, and sometimes on a yearly basis. It's not to say that Israel is not a democracy, but it's a democracy battling with a theocracy. Of course, Israel has a good democratic system in that it's one country. But furthermore, if there was an Israeli kingdom in the Horn of Africa, an Israeli social democratic state in the Horn of Africa, as there was once a Jewish kingdom in past times, wouldn't that help with the development of Africa? In a country like Ethiopia, where it's not good for farming, a Boer independent republic exporting food would obviously be a good thing for a Jewish social democratic state in the Horn of Africa, which could then also charge people access to high-speed rail links, which would be built from South Africa to Cairo in Egypt, and thus open up East Africa to trade from China, the European Union. Fundamentally, the European Union is expanding across into its influence in North Africa with the European project for a Mediterranean Union. There's also a project for peace between the Arabs and Israelis, which I should think Jewish humanists, social democrats would support, and that would be a customs union between Israel, Jordan and the Palestinians. Now, with just as South Africa and the Boer republics could become centres of media, finance, high-tech industry, research and development, and would have a naval presence there, wouldn't it be in America and European Union's interest to have a social democratic Jewish state in the Horn of Africa with a navy there, which could, or at least with a coastline, which would be a good base for European Union navy units, and also which would also support the Americans as well. If you're Afrikaans, Boer, or English, or Jewish, or European, or Bantu, or whatever your race or religion, please leave comments, and I'm here to try and create peace for coexistence. Peace.